And he says, Philip, listen, he might be a great guy. He might be a solid, upstanding dude. He may be a good teacher, but he's not the one. Because the one isn't going to come from Nazareth. The one, the chosen one of God, isn't coming from that town. And I love Philip's response. Philip's response here, he says to Nathanael, okay, let's address all your issues one by one. Let's start with the first. No, he doesn't say that. What Philip actually says in verse 46, come and see, said Philip. It's right there. Immediately, Philip takes this angle that says, okay, listen, I'm not going to try answering all your questions. I just met the guy, okay? I just met the guy. He just came. He just talked with me, and I had something that went on between him and me that I think I need to tell you about. So now I'm coming to tell you about this thing, and I'm not going to answer all your questions. You can ask him that whole Nazareth thing. I'm not going to answer that. I just want to say, come and see. Just come and see. Get a personal thing here and find out for yourself. Keep going. When Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said of him, here is a true Israelite, in whom there is nothing false. True Israelite doesn't mean that this guy has Israelite parents on both sides. It means that he's true. He's authentic. He's honest. Here is an honest Israelite, a true Israelite, in whom there's nothing false. In some translations, it says, in whom there is no guile. Nathanael's not a guy who makes things up. Nathanael's not a guy who plays jokes on people or tricks on people. And Nathanael is not a guy that you can pull the wool over his eyes. He's not gullible. He's never going on a snipe hunt because he knows that those things are all fraudulent. He's not going to do it. Nathanael is one of these guys who is skeptical and has questions and has solid reasons for why he's hesitant. And Jesus seems to like that. He says, here's a dude you can't fool. And here's a dude that's not going to fool you either. He's straight up honest even when he's skeptical. And Nathanael hears Jesus when Jesus says these words. And Nathanael says, 48, how do you know me? Nathanael asked. Keep going. Jesus answered, I saw you while you were still under the fig tree before Philip called you. I saw you. Nathanael has this personal moment where this guy he's never met before knows the deepest reality of Nathanael's heart, that he is a skeptic. And this guy is the one he's skeptical of. And so here's Jesus, here's Nathanael. Nathanael's coming up and he hears Jesus say, this dude right here you can't fool. And Nathanael's like, wait a minute, I mean, that's like Jesus knows his name. That's like Jesus knows his character. How do you know this? Jesus says, I saw you a way off in a distance when you were under that fig tree. And Nathanael's like, okay, what's going on here? No one was around me when I was under that fig tree. Philip had to search for me to find me. I was all by myself. And now this dude here says he saw me. He knows me. See, there's this personal thing that Jesus says, even when you didn't know me, I knew you. And so then Nathanael says, okay, Jesus, let's deal with this Nazareth thing. No, he doesn't say that either. 49, Nathanael declared, Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. His reasons didn't get answered. I mean, there's nothing in this interaction with Jesus that solved the Nazareth problem, that solved the Old Testament prophecy problem. Nothing happened here to address Nathanael's problem, and yet somehow he says, you're the chosen one. You're the Son of God. You're the Messiah. You're the one we've been waiting for. It's because it was personal. Something happened in that encounter he had with Jesus that took all of those objections and shrank them down to size. Because now, he's face to face with a guy who knows him deeply on a personal level from a distance. Nathanael's only one of these stories, though. If you keep reading, let's finish this one out, and then we're going to flip over to the end of this book. Jesus says, you believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree. You shall see greater things than that. He then added, I tell you the truth, you shall see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. All heaven one of these days is going to be accessed solely by the person of the Son of Man, Jesus. The only way anyone, even an angel, is going to get into heaven is through the Son of Man, Jesus. And the only way anyone is ever going to come out of heaven to do any work on the earth is through the Son of Man, Jesus. Jesus says, I am the one who's going to be the escalator between here and there. And anyone who's going to make that trip has to come through me. It's a personal thing. Nathanael says, I know the person. One of these days I'll see the reality. Flip to the end of the book, John chapter 20. John chapter 20, if you've got our Bibles, it's on page 754. We're picking it up on verse 24. Now Thomas, called Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. This is after Jesus has been crucified. And then Jesus made an appearance to some of the disciples, and Thomas wasn't with them. So the other disciples told him, we have seen the Lord. But he said to them, unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe it. When I was a kid in Sunday school, I remember thinking that Thomas was a jerk. I remember thinking that Thomas was a bad guy. That here we're supposed to believe in God, and Thomas doesn't believe. He's a loser. He should be ostracized. He should be punished for his lack of faith. As an adult, though, I really like Thomas, because he does something here that is unbelievably poignant for us today. Thomas does not say to the other disciples, give me your reasons for believing it's Jesus. Tell me what he did. Tell me what he looked like. Tell me what he said. Tell me where you saw him. He doesn't say, give me all the details. Thomas says, I'm skipping the details. I'm going right to the personal thing. I want to see him. I want to encounter him. I want to touch him. Thomas is doubting, yes. He's a skeptic, yes. He's a skeptic with good reasons. How many people have you ever met who came back to life after they were dead? Not many. Very few. And so Thomas is saying, I've never seen this before. I don't believe it. I don't believe it unless I see him. Not unless I see the empty grave. Not unless I see him. Thomas says, I want a personal relationship with this guy you claim is still alive. And so then, Jesus comes back, and I expect Jesus to chastise Thomas and to punish him and to say all kinds of things. But take a look at it, 26.